Okay, so I think now we can get started because this is pretty much going to be it. Oh, here's Dr. Carver. So I will get us started in just a second. Okay, so I'm going to call this meeting of the Public Site and Building Commission to order at 7:02. And we have David's flag. Thank you, David. So let it focus there and you can join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
So I will say right now, as we start, that there are 5 of us here, and that's a quorum. If anyone has to leave, David Olson, David Horvath, Dino, or John Menti, you have to let us know and we have to stop the meeting. Okay, Roy and John Perna and Bob Germanero are not able to attend tonight. So hopefully everybody can stick around for the whole meeting.
Yep.
Okay, so public input. None. Correspondence, none, except for things that are directly related to the project. And I will also say, other than the quorum thing, I was having some problems with my computer audio over the past couple of days. So hopefully it won't, and Kathy was having computer problems too. Mercury is in retrograde, so hopefully our computers will be fine for the meeting and they won't flake out. And I think everybody can hear me okay right now. It's going through the earbuds that somehow my microphone wasn't working. So hopefully it'll continue to be okay. So approval of meeting minutes. I will make a motion that we approve the minutes from our regular meeting of September 28th, 2021.
Second.
Got a second from, was that John Menti or Dave Horvath?
Horvath.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have anything that they noticed? I know there was a something that Ken had corrected, and Kathy, I think you took care of that already, correct? And filed amended minutes, so that should be okay. Is there anything else that anybody found in the minutes that needed to be updated, corrected, etc.? We should be good. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? And does anybody need to abstain? I think Dave Olson, you need to abstain, correct?
No, I'll vote in favor.
Yeah, you're voting in favor, but you have to abstain, I think.
Oh, because I wasn't here.
Right.
I was in Maine.
You were in Maine, correct.
Abstain.
So you abstain, everybody else is in favor, and I think we're okay with that.
I tried to attend, but we were having technical difficulties at our place.
Well, you were too far away.
You're better off.
No, we're at a crappy line.
Okay, so I think we're good with minutes. Let's jump right into our school projects. So we did not get a written report, I don't believe, from Rizzo on construction progress and schedule update. So Ken, what do you have for us?
Only a couple items. The slope at the front of Rockwell was regraded, topsoil, and they put erosion control mesh and seeded it last Friday. The fence at Johnson Boiler Room was completed. And that's really the only update I have, other than the water main didn't take place. He chose to work on the slope in front of Rockwell because we were after him for that before we lost the seeding season. So he's going to do that a Saturday before November 2nd, if he can get to it. Otherwise, November 2nd is going to be the day.
Okay, so November 2nd is election day and there's no school, but there's professional development. Will professional development happen in a different building?
Yes, it will.
Okay. And this is at Rockwell?
Is this turning off the water again?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not a whole day event. They have to find it, get parts, and then do it. So I even think after he does it, it's only like an hour and a half at the most. But, you know, that's what he's telling me.
So can he do it at like 3?
At 3 o'clock, you're saying, Dr. Carver?
Yeah, because on a professional development day, it goes 8 to 3. And I just worry because I think, I'm not sure, isn't there like something, Terry, you can't have people in a public building if there's no flushing water?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well,
Yeah, I
yes,
could talk
yes,
to him.
Kathy.
I know my staff leaves by that time, so you'd have to coordinate something to have someone there in case they needed someone from the town. So I'm just saying by 3, they're done. So,
Okay, I'll talk to him. I'll try to talk him into just getting it done on a Saturday. He was gonna have the water department come in and, you know, take care of them, whatever he had to do. So I will talk to them.
And are there any park and rec programs that happen at Rockwell on Saturdays? There are.
I believe so. I don't know, Terry, right?
I'm not sure about Rockwell. I mean, indoors, I'm not sure.
Right.
So we would have to find out if there's anybody planned to be in the building on a particular Saturday, so that you can make sure that you don't go and shut the water off while there's probably a lot of outdoor stuff going on. They're probably out on the
Right.
fields, but they're
Yeah.
probably not in the building. But we
Yeah.
should check on that.
Okay,
Saturday would definitely be better. Then,
And when you know the Saturday, let me know. I'll check for you.
okay.
And then, Dr. Carver, you're saying that if it has to be election day, even though you're doing professional development, you're not going to move the professional development from Rockwell to another school. I know that would be a big bunch of people in one school. Yes.
right. And I mean, the other option, Ken, is they don't start till 8. I don't know how early they can get in or start the night before and then do what they need to do. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll find out. The only problem was if they do shut it down and start it, you know, it creates a problem if they run into a problem. So it would be better when no one was there.
Okay. So you're going to go for a Saturday and let Terry know so that she can make sure Park and Rec's not there.
Yes.
Okay.
Because there's not another day coming up when schools are closed, because you're open Veterans Day,
Oh.
correct?
No, we are. We're back to Veterans Day off.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so Veterans Day is November 11th.
Yeah,
and
that's
if
an
that-
option, Ken.
Okay.
But wait, the town doesn't work, right, Kathy? You
But,
guys-
yes, so the municipal center's closed on Veterans Day. The schools used to be open, but now the schools are closed too. So if you need somebody from Public Works there, or from the water department, I guess that would not work out. That's a question. Kathy's shaking her head.
you just gotta, am I on? You just gotta
Yeah,
let
yeah.
them know ahead of time, and then you just have to coordinate it with them so they have somebody on staff there. That's all.
So
Okay.
that's a possibility if we needed it.
Okay.
Good. All right. So the slope in front of Rockwell, you're talking about not the slope off of the playground, which is still under observation, et cetera. It's the slope in front of, that comes down from the
Correct.
the top parking area, correct?
Yes.
So that's all regraded and seeded. We hope the seeds popped up soon.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it
think-
has. The
I-
grass is
Oh.
growing.
Yeah, I think they have too. And the grass does look much more lush in general,
Good.
in my opinion.
So, okay, and what about landscaping in other locations that was remediated?
My only question is about that soccer field. And I haven't walked it. I've only looked at it from afar. That doesn't look that great. But has anybody had a chance to go down and really look at it?
Well, they're gonna cut tomorrow, or I think he said Thursday. And I told him to take a look at it as well, because, you know, There's still weeds there and some.
There definitely is. And whereas in the other areas, it does seem better, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not an expert, but, and Ken, can you get them to take down those pesticide signs?
Sure.
Because they've been up for like a month and people are wondering, why the heck are you still putting pesticide down? And I know you haven't. And I didn't know if we could take them down.
Yep, I'll get them removed.
Yeah, because we talked about that at the last meeting. We talked about
Oh,
this
yeah.
pesticide signs at the last meeting
Oh, I wasn't even here.
and getting them taken down
Well,
because
clearly
pesticide-
they weren't.
The area that was talked about was around the playground.
Yeah, but even like when you
Like
enter
barriers?
Johnson School, they're like by in front of the media center, there's
Okay.
one there. I've seen them scattered around.
Yep, yeah, we'll get those.
there's one right behind Joe. Not really. So
Um,
with the soccer field, what we're seeing, like, is the grass just sporadic? Is it weedy or is it both?
Looks very weedy to me from afar.
Okay,
I have to be honest, I haven't gotten out of my car and walked over there, but it looks weedy to me. And Ken, you just said it was.
There are weeds.
Yeah. So I don't know. It looks horrible in my opinion.
is it being used at all?
No, because we've been told not to use it because they're right
Right.
there.
Yep.
Right. So everything's been rescheduled to other fields, right, Tara?
Yeah, and not to cut it, the whole thing, like stay away. So,
We have
Right.
been.
Yeah.
It doesn't look any better.
Geraldine, did you have something? You looked like you were gonna say something.
Well, no, I was just gonna concur. I was there on Thursday and it's, I didn't look at it closely. I was walking around other parts of the school, but, the grass looks sparse, which I suspect means it's still just weeds. So, even the weeds haven't like grown in to be a nice soccer field. So, yeah, I think it does still need attention.
And what attention is it going to get?
I'll find out after he looks at it.
Which is when?
He's gonna go to cut it tomorrow or Thursday. So that's when he said he would take a look at it and let me know.
Will you be there when that happens?
Probably because he's gonna be doing the exposing of the drain lines over at the playground at Rockwell. So I'm gonna be there for that. So yeah, I'll be meeting with him and going over it.
Okay,
Are we past the growing season?
Not according to
No.
8/16, you got to the October 31st.
And I mean, since we put pesticide in the other areas and it seemed to have worked, did we do it there?
He didn't.
Well,
So
why
I
not?
thought he,
I thought he was going to.
he
I
wa-
thought he did.
he wasn't, the other one was gonna, so it was his means and methods. So right now, that's what I'll be talking to him about is he's got weeds that he's gotta get rid of.
Okay, okay then.
Can I ask, does the pesticide application have to be down a little bit before then they throw on the grass seed?
Yes,
Yes, okay. So aren't we concerned about the time?
Yep. So we need something, you need an answer from him right away on,
Ken, I'll follow up with you tomorrow after you talk to him.
okay,
yeah, so tomorrow or Thursday, whenever he comes, Ken, we're gonna need to jump on something right away because we're running out of time. And then where are we with the softball field? Is the scoreboard hooked back up? Do we know?
That's
Or
a
is-
question. Well, that was a question for Bob.
For Bob.
Tremaro.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
right.
I don't know yet.
And then what about with the monument that Eileen was asking about? Ken,
I'll talk to the site contractor to see if he was willing to do it. When I first talked to him about it, he said he wasn't because it wasn't shown on the drawings.
right, but it was there when the project started. So somebody
Yeah.
has, you, Rizzo, have to take care of, you took it out, you have to put it back in. And you have to take care of that because it was there when the project started,
Okay,
okay? Thank you. Where are we with the trees up at the top of the back slope of Rockwell? The dead trees. We get any further with any of that?
That was,
Possibly Park and Rec or somebody?
yes, well, according to my notes, Nancy, you were going to talk to Beth
All right.
about that. So,
All right,
I
did kind of check to see if there's anything outstanding and hadn't heard anything.
right.
I'll ask more specifically about the trees.
And I think,
So we-
so related to that though, Ken, maybe you can talk about where we're at with the COs on both buildings?
Right. Because I was going to ask that too.
So I responded to Chris Baldwin and copied Tom Galliford on the items that he was concerned about, that they were completed. And I've talked to Laura Vasile. She said she was all set with everything. And Beth, I've got a couple phone calls into her. Haven't been able to contact her yet.
Okay, so Laura's ready to sign off. You told both Chris and Tom Galliford, Chris Baldwin and Tom Galliford, that you've completed the items that they had on their list, but you haven't heard anything back from them. Is that correct?
I have not heard back from him. He had asked me to send him some pictures because he's on light duty. So I sent him pictures of the things that were completed.
All right, so I might have to do an email. I will do an email to Chris, Tom, Beth, and Laura and ask them to reply. And should I have any of you on it? Maybe I'll have Ken on it and Geraldine.
Yeah, I might have been the last one to actually talk to Chris. And
Okay.
and the way the conversation went was, yes, that if all of those things on his list that I know Ken sent photographs and documentation on were completed, then he was fine. I guess the question is now, so send around the paperwork, if you're fine,
Right.
where's your final? So I believe, excuse me, I believe that he and Tom and at least Laura are fine. I'm
Yep.
just hoping to push paper. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do an email to the four of them, and which actually we kind of did when we were trying to get the paperwork completed for the police station, where an email went around, who's ready to sign off, who's not, what items do you still have? And then people were yes, 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 yes. And then Chris was able to generate the paperwork. So I'll include Ken and Geraldine too. And if they have questions, they can ask, and let's get them going.
So that could be as soon as like now is what you're saying.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, if everything's completed, they should just get that paperwork in place and have, so Chris has to have Tom Galliford, Beth, so he's got to have fire marshal, planning official, zoning official, and health sign off. And then he signs, and then it's complete, and we get a certificate, and it just gets filed somewhere with the town.
And is Beth all set? Because I have missed a couple meetings. Is Beth all set?
That's what we have to find out, because Ken said he had a couple calls into her and he hasn't heard back yet. So I'm going to do this email where I include everyone, all four of them, plus Ken and Geraldine, to get some kind of response out of them, because there's been phone calls going around and.
Right. My hope was that if the CO paperwork came to Beth's desk, that would prompt a signing or something else. But we have repeatedly asked whether there are additional issues, and Ken takes care of the additional issues, except for those trees. So I presume we're ready, ready.
Yeah. I can include you on the email too, Dr. Carver, so you see what's going on.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Anything else on construction that anybody has questions about, or Ken, that you need to let us know about? Anything that's outstanding that you were waiting on? that we still need to get answers on?
Yeah, well, Ken or Joe, do you want to talk about what we're doing about the playground runoff at Rockwell? Because there does seem to still be a runoff issue below the pavement on its basketball court, you know, down that slope towards Whittlesley. So Ken's got some more investigation going on. Joe has been working on suggesting investigations to figure out why we're still getting ruts there. Maybe between
Right.
the two of you, you could talk about what we're doing there now.
Right, because I saw some emails, but they didn't go to the whole commission, so I don't know which one of you wants to start, but it'd be
Yeah,
good to,
I spoke to SLR. We need to understand what's going on subsurface, how the under drains of the playground are being tied in and back to the manhole. Making sure that the pipe has been installed properly, that there's no open-ended pipes, and that none of the pipes have been damaged in the area at the corner of the playground. And then if it's pitched properly back to the manhole. So we need
Because
some
one of the-
inverts and more information.
one of the observations that Joe made, because Ken got some video and photos to send to Joe. And Joe made the observation that the way that the washouts are happening continually points more to it's not surface runoff, but that it's coming out lower down, right? Am I characterizing that correctly?
Yes. Yeah, it seems like most of the erosion is occurring mid-slope and not from the top of the slope.
So then Ken's got the guys set up to come soon, right, Ken, to expose
Right.
that so that it can be looked at?
The only thing that's different from what was taking place before is the top couple inches was scraped down so that they could stop the little dam, if you will, by the fence. So there was a little bit of regrading there done one Saturday. But since then, yeah, we'll certainly take a look and see if there's any breaks in the line, or, you know, make sure it's all connected.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. So you got that scheduled, or are you working on scheduling it?
He said Thursday or Friday to me. So,
Okay,
yeah, when I talk to him about the field, I'll make sure that I'll pin him down to when he's gonna do that, because I've got to be there for that.
right, you should really be there. And then you'll send photos, et cetera, to Joe. Unless Joe's gonna come running down here. Well, he's already here, so you can just sleep at the school. Sleep at the school. All right, any other construction related or schedule related items that you have, Ken, or does anybody have questions on?
For the most part, if something comes up, I've been able to get contractors to go out and fix the items. They just told me about the display glasses at Rockwell not opening, and got a hold of the contractor, and he said he's stopping out there tomorrow after school, so that he, you know, hopefully he'll just be able to make the adjustment that's needed for those doors.
Mhm.
And, you know, things in the boiler room, if something pops up, they are taking care of the items.
So those are some kind of like warranty types of things rather than punch list stuff.
Correct, yeah, so there are things like that that are ongoing, but, you know, they're small in nature, but they're important to the end user.
Kathy?
I know this is more towards Terry, but we had talked at our last Board of Education meeting about the work orders. There's some work orders put in for lighting at the two schools that the building maintenance team isn't sure that there should be a work order, that it should be something that goes back to the project. And I think I had sent some stuff to Terry and we had forwarded to Ken as well to hear back about those work orders.
Yeah, to the lighting, I had mentioned to the custodians and Bob that the light in the Rockwell Media Center in one of the little nooks at the end, that Ferguson has the parts to correct that light, get that light working. And then I had them order a light for the cafeteria. One went out at Johnson. So all these LEDs have a 5-year warranty. And I've told that to the custodians too, so they know it, you know, that it's the LED lights, they most all of them have a 5-year warranty.
Did they get an attic stock? I remember the conversation, but, well, I don't remember the conversation. I know we talked about it once, but they got attic stock of some of the stuff, correct, Ken?
Yeah, and I think they took one at Rockwell to put up there. Yeah,
Okay,
there was one out, yes.
thank you.
So wasn't it supposed to be part of kind of like training for maintenance staff to be able to distinguish what's a warranty type item that would not go to building maintenance as a work order, but to have to somehow go back to the project to get that taken care of? Is that-
I don't know if there was or not. Do you, Terry?
Yeah, I don't
No.
I don't know. And we did have a shift of custodians too, like at Rockwell. The head
Oh.
custodian changed recently, right, Terry?
Mhm.
Ah,
So that could
Okay.
be part of the problem. But
Okay,
that's not true at Johnson, so I can check.
but there should be, like, I guess, some kind of way that you deal with work orders and stuff. It's not like everybody's just throwing work orders in. You probably have a process on which they have to go through a system of who writes the work order,
do.
who gives it to who. Okay,
They do. And then,
Okay.
and then Terry and Bob and Eric, right? You guys meet
We
weekly.
meet weekly with Kathy. But we encourage our head custodians to put everything in because.
Yeah.
you
you gotta know,
put it
somebody's
in
gotta know, yeah.
So that it's on the radar.
It keeps a
Yeah.
record. So we can check. Bob's not back for at least another week though, right, Terry?
Right. One more week.
Good old Bob. Well, but somebody else has got to be kind of keeping an eye on things while Bob's away. So, if we can just make sure, if you do those weekly meetings, then you check on them and you make sure they go to the right place.
The problem is I don't think we can check, but I don't know what has been communicated to them. So we do have to check with Bob, right, Terry?
Yeah,
Okay.
but Ken, you have those couple that we forwarded to you that Kathy and I thought were project related. And you said you have Ferguson addressing the cafeteria and the Rockwell Media Center.
Right, yes.
Okay,
Okay. And then if we have things like if LED lights are supposed to last for 5 years and we're finding that they're constantly burning out, is there something that we need to look further into, or has that just been just one here, one there?
So far, it's only been really one. They knew
Okay,
the one at Media Center for a while. So it's really just been that one.
okay. All right, thanks. So anything else? If you come up with any other questions on construction a little later on, you can always ask Ken. Otherwise, the boiler room project, I think we're good to go with that. John sent out an email, and I think the only thing I want to make sure, and I don't know if John, if you're able to do this, is if there's any, I know the email went out and pretty much, well, not pretty much, the email stated that we're done.
Yeah,
And so we need to just have some, either if it's going to be an electronic filing somewhere.
that's it. I asked.
Right. But it needs to be filed somewhere at the Board of Ed. So they have it for future reference, just in case. So if it's electronic, it needs to be put on a flash drive or something, or sent to Bob to store somewhere. If it's a written report, then again, the same thing. It needs to be printed and given to Bob so he can file it with all the other stuff.
I just thought of something, and I apologize because I haven't obviously been here in a couple weeks. Did the whole issue with the Rockwell boiler room get resolved?
Oh, yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Oh, good. That's
Yeah.
that's what brought it to my mind. Oh, it's all resolved.
EPA dismissed the whole thing.
Yay.
Yes.
There's no finding. They closed the case. The woman-
Yay.
And the woman who was handling it retired October 1st.
Yay.
That's even better. She's gone.
So John Menti, if you send me whatever it is we have to file, I'm gonna suggest to Bob that he keep it in the HERA file that we keep in our, which is really asbestos, but I think we should keep it
Sure.
in
I'll-
there because we don't have any other PCB issues, so I'll tell him to keep it in the
I'll-
same file as we keep asbestos.
Okay, I downloaded a copy of the email, the report part. So I'll email it to you tomorrow.
Good, and I'll put it in the file.
Okay, beautiful.
And then, are there any,
I was gonna say, the original report, as well as the test results that were done later, and then the email dismissing the case. Those would be the
Yes.
three, I think, important things.
right, and then I also have the, actually paper copies of the agreements that were made between Weston and Sampson and the town to do all this work. So that should probably become part of that file too. I don't really think that goes with the town clerk. I think it would go in that file. So there's like a chain of evidence, so to speak, of here's what was requested, here's the testing was done, we made this agreement to have the testing done, here's the report, here's the testing that was done, here's the report of the testing. So I think all of that probably should be kept in that same file. So I can get that to Terry
That's
also.
fine with me. Yep.
Okay. So John, you're going to take care of getting that stuff to Terry.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Should have it tomorrow.
Then we could probably take that off our little list.
Mhm.
So, budget review.
So I think we'll again go right to the combined project status budget that deals with the contingency numbers. I did upload to the shared drive, obviously, updated tracking budgets, but they've varied, but there's not been no significant update since the last meeting and even since the meeting before. So, and as of this report, I also deleted that $68,000 potential liability to remediate the Rockwell boiler room floor. So that got thrown back into available contingency. Today, we have the current construction and contracted soft cost numbers up in the top part. Today, we have no, and potentially going forward, there should be no more PCOs to review. We are carrying potential bond adjustment values that might come through as Rizzo closes out bonds with subcontractors based on increased value of construction that we approved through change orders. And then everything else is the usual potential additional requests from Rizzo, Perkins Eastman, and now STV. I added a couple of new ones for, again, Perkins Eastman and STV extended construction administration through the end of the year, and updated the contingency, the owner's contingency costs or remaining balance for each school. And this is where we're at today, a potential, with all liabilities accounted for, $690,000 under budget. And potentially, as some of these things become resolved, it could be as much as a $1.5 million under budget by the time we're done. And again,
Okay,
not much change because we haven't had many changes in some of these potential liabilities.
so, but where would we be on this? So we had the additional landscaping that we had agreed to do. And then there was some damage after the big rainstorm. We
Right.
had a cost to remediate that, which we approved, but we haven't gotten an invoice yet. So that'll go in there somewhere too, right?
I have already updated this line that says contracted soft costs. Those additional landscaping costs ended up here rather than under the construction line item, obviously.
Got it. Yep, okay.
Because you voted to approve, I know the invoice hasn't come in yet, but you did authorize the spending of that money, so that has
Right.
already rolled up total.
Okay, Right, just wanna make-
Both the original landscaping and the ad, yep, they're all in there.
Okay. good. Just want to make sure we're not missing anything. Okay, any questions, comments, observations on the budget and projected cost analysis? We're good? Okay. So change orders, we don't have any.
We
We're
don't
gonna
have
look
any.
at, we don't have any. And there aren't any out, hanging out there anywhere that need to be. I don't know, Ken, do you know if there are any floating around out there that have to get dealt with?
Not right now. There might be one from the electrician for the work that he changed for the building inspector.
What was that again?
The sediment traps he had to change. He had put them in for the contract, the drawings.
Yeah,
He was told to change them, so he changed them. We changed them.
yeah, there was some work on the gas lines that was required by Chris Baldwin. We would have to have a discussion about that work, whether it was really an additional request or whether it was a code compliance issue, or I believe Joe pointed out that work was correctly described in some part of the drawings. Am I right, Joe? It was on another one of those instances where it might not have been outlined precisely, but the requirement to provide those sediment traps was included in the contract documents. So in any case, when that comes up, we'll have to have that discussion.
Okay. We don't need to look at the tracking budgets. Everybody can take care of that on their own. There's not much change in them.
Correct.
So next, addition, was there a question? Somebody have a question? Oh, okay. So we have the professional services, additional service requests. So I'm going to say first for the original request from Perkins Eastman, still in discussion, and the original request from Rizzo, there's upcoming meetings being scheduled. And so I don't have much more to report on those two at this point. But we do have two sets of additional requests we received from Perkins Eastman and STV, as it looks like we're going to be continuing on for another, well, right now, at least with, I'm not sure with STV, but with Perkins Eastman, where our original, well, our second round of extended construction administration services has been, the time frame for that has passed. And since the time frame has passed, Joe, I'm assuming the not to exceed amount has also been passed?
I think at Rockwell, we're right at it, and Johnson, there might be a little bit left.
Okay,
I haven't got the numbers yet for September.
okay. So we do have from Perkins Eastman, one for Rockwell, one for Johnson. Again, an extended services for construction-based services proposal, which went out with the packet on the weekend or on Friday from Geraldine. So everybody had a chance to review that. I don't think we need to spend any more time reviewing, although I do have a question, another question, Joe.
Mhm.
I'm finding it because I'm looking at my paper copy here. So if the proposal is not acceptable, please let us know as soon as possible, and we will inform our team and begin the project closeout process. So if you're saying that the fees that are left or little bit that's left or whatever in the amounts that were approved last go round do include the closeout amounts, or are the closeout amounts in these new figures? That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, I think what we meant with that is closing out the project on our end. I'd have to, that was something Joe Costa added in, so I'll have to confirm with him what we actually meant with that.
Because I'm just wondering, so you're talking about this being extending again, construction administration, but closeout is separate, kind of, sort of. I mean, it's part of the process, but where's the closeout amount? Is that kind of still hanging out somewhere, or is it in this, these two amounts that you've?
Yeah, it would be in these two amounts, yes. So it's
Okay.
basically all the hours that we'll be spending to close out the project is included in this amount, yes.
Okay.
Sorry if I misunderstood what your question was originally.
No, it made it sound like if the proposal was not acceptable, that you would then take some chunk of money from somewhere that still exists somewhere and start closing the project out.
Oh, no, that's, no. There's no other funds.
Okay. So I think what I'm gonna do right now is make a motion, and then we can discuss further if needed. So
I'm gonna go back to this just because it has the amount all together in one place, what we're that we're
okay.
looking for here.
Yeah, I kind of went through and wrote them down on a piece of paper. So I'll start with Rockwell, and I'll make a motion that we approve the Perkins Eastman extended construction administration phase service amount as proposed, and the amount not to exceed $4,500.
Second.
Second.
So that was, I think, Dave Horvath who seconded. So do we have any other further discussion on this? As the proposal states, Perkins Eastman will be tracking their hours and be billing us accordingly, again, in an amount not to exceed $4,500.
Just one quick question. Is this through December or to December?
It's through the 31st.
Okay.
So October, November, and December. So
And
it's
if
got-
I can interject, Joe and I discussed last week what we think the timing is going to be going forward. And clearly, because we haven't seen a final requisition from Rizzo, we probably have at least two more applications from payment to review from Rizzo. There's some leftover work to do with the state on the last change order. There's still some submittals coming through that Perkins Eastman is reviewing, and we also have not seen the final owner's manuals, warranties. There's significant, even though it seems like construction is finished, essentially, there are still some tasks left to do to close out the project, both on the town contractual level and at the state level. And we just both took a stab at, we're crossing our fingers that everything's going to be done by the end of 2021. And so both Perkins Eastman and STB would be continuing to provide services on the project, and whatever hours we end up spending, this is our estimate of it, but we would just bill based on the hours spent each month, and expect that by December 31st, all the paperwork is in a package, in Terry's office. So.
Oh, can I just add that we submitted the O&Ms and warranty books to the school 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, good.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
So Ken, who did they go to? Just so I make sure I get them.
I had transmittals and I asked Bob if I could bring them over, and he was in the middle of something. So he said to leave them with Ryan at Johnson, and that's what I did.
So Ryan has both Johnson and Rockwell's?
I don't know if Bob retrieved them from him, but that's where I left them.
Okay.
So any more questions or comments about Perkins Eastman proposal for Rockwell? We good to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have anybody opposed? So that passes. And we have a similar proposal for Johnson. So I'll make a motion that we approve the Perkins Eastman proposal for extended construction administration phase services through the end of 2021 for Johnson School in the amount of not to exceed $7,500.
Second.
I got a second from Dave Olson. And the wording is pretty much the same, so I'm assuming we're going with the same assumptions, hourly rate for the work that you do, including closeout, and again, not to exceed. And you weren't sure exactly, like you thought there was some left, but not much.
Not much, yeah.
So anything that's left will get rolled over, and then they'll start kind of fresh on invoices. Any other questions, comments on this? Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're done with that one. So similarly, we have proposals from STV for each school to take us through construction administration and closeout, which may be it says it takes us through the end of December, but should we make assumptions that you might have other paperwork kinds of things that need to be done after that, or will most of it be?
Gosh, I hope it's all done. But in terms of these dollar amounts, if you authorize these not to exceed dollar amounts going forward, if the hours are not expended and they roll into January, we will just continue to bill. It's more about these amounts rather than the calendar.
Okay.
The calendar. So if we end up, moving into January, we're just going to keep billing against these same authorizations. And I will say that in the case of STV's work, the previous, or it might have been two back of our additional services, we had set aside a total of 20 hours on both schools combined to hold an abeyance for the state audit, understanding that those results or our participation in that paperwork exercise might not happen until, as far out as maybe next June or something. Or later, whenever the state gets around to closing out their portion of the reimbursement, of the grant reimbursement. So in addition to these funds, we are still holding 20 hours worth of my time to do that work at some future date. Again, if all of that time is not needed, or for some reason we've cut such great records through this whole project that none of that time is needed, obviously it won't be billed. So just so you know that that's also sitting out there someplace else, ready for the call.
Okay, that's good to know, because I was going to ask about the audit part.
Yep.
So question. So the amounts for both Rockwell and Johnson are the same?
Yep. Yes, at this point, to complete the closeout of the construction exercise, to close out, to work on the change order that's still out there with the state, it's virtually the same amount of time on each school. It's not really pegged to the value of construction on either one, which was how we set our fee originally. So this calculation is essentially an estimate of 4 hours a week for 4 hours for Johnson, for the possibility of 4 hours for Rockwell, from now through, like mid-December, but understanding that it would be, December 31st. So it's the best guess estimate to continue to plod through this paperwork. And
Okay,
I think I think it's a conservative one. I think that there's more hours there than will need to be spent.
okay. So then I'll make a motion if we need to do any further discussion. I'll make a motion that we approve the STV proposal for extended services for Rockwell School and the amount not to exceed $8,736.
Second,
Dave Olson seconds. Do we have any other questions on this or comments from anybody? Again, a not to exceed amount. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Done. And I will similarly make a motion to approve the proposal from STV for Johnson School for extended construction phase services in the amount of $8,737. It's $1 more. I need a second.
Second.
Was that Dave Horvath? Yes, second. Any other questions, comments on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We're done there. So I will, once I get the minutes from Kathy, as usual, I will write on these that they were approved at this meeting and give them to the first selectman for his signature, which usually doesn't take that long, but I think that won't be a problem. And I'm sure probably at the next meeting, we might have invoices or not.
Yeah, probably.
Okay,
Yeah, they'll be yeah. Although the invoices will be for work already done. So the invoices that we'll probably look at next meeting will take us through September 30th, right? So
yeah,
these
yeah,
additional
Yes.
actually kick in. Yeah.
October 1st, but like I said, I'll work on getting those all in place, but I don't think it'll be a problem. Okay, thank you. Unless anybody else has any other questions or comments on professional services, additional service requests, we will do the invoice.
The invoice. Yep. And I'm sorry, I can't get this I don't know why I can't get this to rotate today, but this invoice is from ESC, Environmental Systems Corp, for the Johnson security system. And for some reason, they had a leftover amount of $56.25 that they had not previously billed. So they are billing out the rest of their contract. This has got to be like a half an hour of somebody's time at some point. Their work has been complete for quite a while. So this is just, I think, to clean up the end of their contract.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the invoice from ESC, invoice number 1188054. I have the paper copy so I can read it. Then the amount of, this is for Johnson Security, in the amount of $56.25.
Second.
Everybody seconds it.
lots of seconds for that one.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And we're done with that one. Okay, so is there anything else that we need to deal with, look at, et cetera here? I know we've got a few things still in the works, as Ken and Joe and Geraldine have said, and I've got an email that's going to go out to all that it needs to go out to as far as getting that CO in place. Anything else? Anybody? Bueller? All right, so we're finished up with school stuff. We do have a meeting scheduled end of October. I'm kind of assuming most of us will need to be on it. Let's see.
Is that Rich just popped in?
Yeah, I think so. Looking at my calendar now, I can't find it. It's not, my phone's not. It's the 20 something of.
'26.
The 26th?
Yep.
All right, so I'm sure we'll still have a few things to deal with, including possibly a application for payment from Rizzo.
I
Yeah,
so.
okay.
Yep.
All right, and just look for the usual documents and et cetera on the Friday before for review. And thank you, Geraldine, Joe, Ken. Everybody else needs to stick around. Oh, and Terry, thank you too. Unless you want to stick around for the other parts of our agenda. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you, thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yep, you too. David, don't go away. David, don't go away.
I'm not.
Menti and Dino, Kathy, don't go away. All right, so
They moved my Singapore meeting till tomorrow morning.
Singapore. So you have to
Yeah.
call Singapore at 2 in the morning or something like that?
Yeah, we're building out, they just threw this on me the other day. We're building out some space out there now, so.
Jeez.
Yeah, lucky
Right.
me.
Are you gonna have to go there?
No, unfortunately, I really would like to go there.
You guys road trip.
It would be a heck of a road trip, but no, I don't get to go there, unfortunately.
All right, so,
I don't think there are any roads that go there.
They're a little flooded at times, but you know,
Lots of air, but no roads.
okay. So with the police station, so Downs completed the caulking and sealant at the front of the building, at the front of the firing range that they were scheduled to do. They had to put it off a couple times because of rain. So that's done. And they have stated to me that they, in an email, that they feel that they are complete with their the work that they propose to do to get the firing range to a point where it's ready to be completed. And I had asked if we should do another water test, although I think the rain, not only that we had from the one time we were all there after Storm Ida, and then a week and a half later, we had another heavy rain, was basically test enough. And both Downs and Brian Humes feel that, or don't feel that, they've stated several times that sometimes when we see a little moisture on the interior of the building along that channel at the bottom of the wall, that if we were to take care of conditioning the air, that all that moisture that collects in there and then seeps down would be taken care of.
yeah, that if we
So-
pressurize the building a little bit and bring in a positive pressure, that would
Right.
help to a certain extent.
Right, Brian said, if we aren't finishing things immediately, if we could get that furnace that's in there heating and then also some fans blowing and then some air exchange going on.
Yeah.
I don't know how to make that happen. If that's what we need to do more immediately, because I don't have any authority to go to Public Works and say, do this work. And yet, again, looking at doing completion of the work, I've had several calls from Chief Pugner. He calls me once a week, wants to know when we're going to finish the firing range. And I tell him that we kind of can't, because we can't just go ahead and start doing those things. We have to go through a process. So my understanding, I had a conversation with Matt Knickerbocker this afternoon. He said that that the police commission is going to write a kind of formal proposal letter, something saying, get this firing range done, which will go to the Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Selectmen, I think, may then assign the project to us so that we can actually do the overseeing, if that's what they want to do. If they don't, then it will be, I don't know where it'll go. Chief Pugner has said that he does have information that he collected about a year and a half ago. He took some plans and specs and had folks from Rizzo come and look at the building and look at the plans and specs to come up with a cost. So there was some kind of cost to use in planning to go forward. And I don't know what the plans and specs are or where they came from, because my understanding was this action target that was providing a lot of information on the very specific shooting range parts, all the parts that needed for the range that were supplied by Action Target. I was always under the assumption that Action Target was going to then show up and install all of it.
Right.
But Chief Pugner said that during our last conversation that no, they just delivered the stuff. And I kind of thought I thought they installed it. Like, who installs it? They're
Yeah.
specialty people.
Yeah, I thought they did the design of this stuff, the equipment, and were the installers from what I read.
That's what I remember too. So we're gonna have to sort a bunch of this out. If we're because there needs to be a specific plan for that space, and then the little ready room before that, the control room, et cetera. And, as John Menti had mentioned, maybe at the last meeting and talking about the municipal center project, do we put an RFP/RFQ out there looking for someone to complete the plans and so almost like a design build sort of thing?
But wasn't there, I know I came into it very late, but I thought there was a number for the installation of all that equipment from that company.
Yes, there was about a 600, 650
Okay,
number from maybe 2-3 years ago
okay.
that I remember. And again, I thought it was for the installation, yes.
Mhm.
Because it was that company, Action Target, who specifically said that the building had to be higher.
Mhm.
And then we had to go and make those, make the building higher. And then we had to have the opening in the back for the forklift to come in to lift the heavy
Right.
baffles up on the ceiling. John, what are you remembering?
I'm 99% sure, 99, that the number from Action Target was to buy and for them to install. That's they do.
That's what I thought. That's what I
Yeah,
thought.
and maybe Chief Pugner is missing some information, but I'm the person probably to talk to would be Libertini, because I think he's the guy that was spearheading this.
I agree. That's what I brought. Yeah, that's what I brought up.
And he has all the information from Action Target.
Yes.
But it
Yes.
was Libertini because I went to him when I first started and asked him about positive pressure and with the AC and who do we talk to? And it was Action Target who was going to
Yes.
supply all this stuff. And then I could
Yes.
talk to them to get the positive pressure, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, I'm glad we're all remembering the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty darn sure it was they did everything, but
Yes.
they don't do the HVAC work. They do the backstop, the target tracks.
All the baffles and
Right.
yeah.
Right, but they worked with the contractor for the air exchanges and all that
Yes.
stuff.
Yes,
Yes.
I mean that's what they
Yes.
do. They
Yeah,
put a lot of these police station systems in Connecticut.
Yeah. Yep. Richie, what do you got?
Yes, I agree with you that I believe Action Air or Action, whatever their name was going to do the install also. But are you saying that didn't include the air handler out there?
I don't know if it included, I think it might have had specifications, but I think the air handling was not part of, although, John, I had said a couple of meetings ago, could we go ahead and put the HVAC system in just to condition the building?
Yeah.
And John Perna said he thought that it needed to all kind of happen at the same time, that you needed to put the equipment in place and as all one big project.
it's all one system because
It
because
depends if it's two separate contractors. If you got two separate contractors, yeah, the air system could be installed now.
yeah, but the air
Well,
system is all
I
part of the
think
exhaust
where-
system for the
We
range.
should talk to Action Target to find out from them.
So
Well, I think part of the issue is there's, the ventilation system for the firing range. There's a separate ventilation system for the prep room and the office area.
yes,
That
they're two separate
Action
rooms.
Target is not doing. Action Target, I believe, was handling the exhaust and the ventilation system for the firing range
I
portion.
think you might be right, Dino.
Yeah,
Right,
I
but
think,
no,
I think that's,
Dino's right, but that's, and I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking about the two little offices. I was thinking about the main, which
Right.
is, there's a heating, air conditioning unit, makeup air unit. Well, it's all part of the same, and an exhaust unit, Dino, you're correct. So they're feeding the, bringing the outdoor air in, and either they're making it hot or cold, and the exhaust and everything that goes out. That was, if I'm remembering correct, was all part of Action Air. For the office areas, I don't remember, to be honest.
so,
Why
and
Libertini get hold of Action Air and find out what the status is. And
so
update the-
Action, yes, Action Target was pretty much everything that Action Target had put together, planned, put out, was all pretty much went through Libertini. He was the one that had all that information. He would attend meetings and update us on it.
Mhm.
So what we're gonna have to do is, and again, we'll wait until we're assigned the project, if we get assigned the project, because if we don't, then we're done. But that has to be taken into consideration where, the range has its air needs, but then those couple of rooms that are the control room and part of the prep room and the ready room and all that have to also be dealt with. So there's, whether there's plumbing, electricity, heat, air conditioning, et cetera. That's all got to be part of the whole thing. Has to be one project to complete it.
There was part of the conversation was that it was going to be a positive pressure.
Mhm.
I'm not 100% sure that that's correct, David. In the firing range, I would think it'd be negative pressure because you don't want it to be pushing out contaminants.
Right, so, well, there's two ways to look at a positive, negative, right? Is the positive pressure is pushing more in, which pushes air down the length of the firing range and goes out the backside. Is just, I don't know, I remember talking with Libertine, I have to find the notes, because I know I wrote it all down, but it was to be a positive pressure building with,
Again, that surprises me. I mean, laboratories are designed to be
For
negative
negative.
pressure for that reason.
yeah, yep.
Unless there's some kind of filter or something that has to go on it. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, that's
So
what the big air system is that.
They do have, yeah, they have-
$1,000.
yeah, they have lead collection filters and everything else at the end
Yeah.
of it that takes all that contaminants out.
Hey, Nancy, I have a question.
Sure.
Is your committee satisfied with not having another water test? I'm not.
That's a good question. What do you guys think?
Well, I read everything you guys wrote after the big storm that we had was Ida, and a couple days after, and you said it looked pretty good. But Rich, what are your concerns?
Well, we were there after the Ida storm, and yeah, they came up with a couple of the ideas of putting a couple more liters in and caulking the joint along the sidewalk to stop any water from coming in. So, I would still like to wet it down again and see how it looks after.
Okay. Do you want to have that be something that we do, or do you want to have that be something?
However you want to do it.
Do we want Downs to show up and do it?
I think if we don't and something goes wrong, excuse me, then people are going to say, "Oh, they did work and you never tested the work."
Yeah.
Right. But what I'm asking is, do we just go out there with a hose and start spraying it, or do we make Downs come and be a part of it?
I think they have to be part of it.
Okay.
I agree.
It leaks, it's their problem, not ours, right?
Right. So I think the place that it did leak, the one place that it did leak, we got an answer as to why that happened. And I think we choose that as the place to spray water and start. But then we can look at the front too and make sure. So I will email them and see what I can come up with as far as scheduling something. It doesn't need to be a whole big thing, but get them out here to do that. And then I'll let you know if anybody needs to be present. We can take care of that.
All right. Nancy, did they put the other 2 liters in the back gutter?
No, because we did not authorize them to do that.
Right. Well, you want to ask them, do they want us to hire somebody to do it or they want to do it?
We can do it either way. I think that was something that was, the way that Brian's report was written, it basically said the town has the option to, or mention the option of adding the leaders in.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Well, so again, do we want to just ask them to do it, or do we want to just have somebody do it? We're looking at, just so you know, as we look at the budget, okay, there was money left in the contingency, the construction contingency, so the construction manager's contingency. Everything that's been done on the firing range, except for the masonry repairs, is coming out of that contingency. I don't have a accounting for it, and we may not have an accounting for it until they give us an application for payment. So just consider that. And I kind of think that the 3 leaders that are there are adequate if we don't have crap building up in the gutters and stopping the water from flowing out. I know it would be peace of mind, and maybe we should go ahead and do it.
And it's only 2 liters. It can't be very expensive.
Okay,
Yeah,
So-
I agree. Can't be more than a couple $100.
do we want Downs to do it?
I think you should ask Downs, if we touch it, do we own it?
Well, we own it right now already. I think the
All
warranties
right,
are
well,
gone.
then we can do it.
Yeah, you can
So-
hire a local, it's gotta be a local
Gutter
guy.
guy.
in town. Or Kathy, does the town use somebody for that type of work?
We have offshore construction for all our roofing.
I'm sorry?
Offshore construction, they do all our roofing. So I'm pretty sure they do the gutters as well.
I mean, so if they're already in a system, that might be the easiest, smartest way to go.
How do I go about having that done? Do I have to have like Pugner put it in as a,
His building,
Someone
Is
should
there
reach out
any-
to Eric.
is there any money left
What?
in your contingency?
no, there's nothing. Our contingency was long gone after we
Okay.
found a burned out barn buried under the firing range.
I know nothing.
I know
Our,
that.
our contingency was pretty much used up when we found those chunks of concrete. And Downs was very nice to let us use the construction contingency to deal with the burned out barn. So, yeah,
Or I maybe ask Pugner if he has some money in building maintenance or something to,
well, I'm not saying that there's no money to do it. I don't know what the proper procedure is to get the work done, because we, as a Public Site and Building Commission, have no authority to go to building maintenance and say, do this work. So Kathy said she was gonna check with Eric. No, Kathy's not gonna check with Eric.
I said someone should reach out to Eric.
Okay, I will do that.
No. Because I,
or Nancy, maybe just have Downs do it and then they can take it out of the contingency.
All right. Okay, so the only other outstanding thing we have with the police station is Brian Hume's invoice. We owe him still $10,000. I know we discussed this, I think, at the last meeting. I personally don't see a reason to continue to hold on to that. If this is being recorded, but you pay somebody, it doesn't mean that you can't go after them later on for something that doesn't work or something that, you understand what I mean? So what do you think? This is an invoice from December of 2018.
I'll give you my 2 cents. I was impressed with him coming out that day of the inspection of the walls. I was
Yeah.
surprised to see him
He's-
and his comments, so.
Yes, and I think that he's been, there was a period of time when Downs was looking to a third party, so Hoffman Architects, for input to try to see what was going on here. What do we need to do? And Brian kind of stepped back a bit and let the Hoffman process play out. And I asked a few times, I asked Downs, is Brian going to be here as part of this? And they said Brian was fine with Hoffman doing, the part that they had been hired to do. And that day that we were going to do the water test, I was surprised, but quite pleased that he was there. And he did a good amount of troubleshooting that day and helped us out trying to figure out what the hell was going on when there was one place where the water was leaking in. So what I'm going to do is I'll make a motion. We can discuss it further. I'll make a motion that we approve Jakunsky Humes Architects invoice number 18402 from December 3rd, 2018, in the amount of $10,000, which is our final payment to him.
I'll second that.
John Menti seconds it. Any further discussion or concerns? Rich?
You want to maybe make that contingent of the town attorney's approval?
I don't know as that needs to happen. I don't know if the town attorney ever told us to not pay this. Does any-
Did originally.
I don't know as he ever said, don't pay it. He said, to my remembrances, he said that he would understand if we didn't. But I can check. I'm not going to make it contingent, but I will check.
Okay.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. Okay, does anybody else have anything else on the police station? So I will let you know what I hear from which way we're going with the firing range. Are we getting assigned it or is it getting done in a different? It would be great if it could be something that could like come off the state contract lists and all that, but I don't know if it can. So we still may be part of it. And then the municipal center, I also spoke, the renovations at the municipal center. I spoke with Matt this afternoon on this too, because what we found out, and I think I shared this and we talked about it a little bit at the last meeting, so the amount that we originally thought we needed to finish up the plans, the amount that, the cost that we got from Peter Eckert was basically for his work. And then we had that proposal from the MEP engineer, which is pretty much kind of doubling that amount. And then there's going to be another amount, most likely from Archer, who's the structural engineer. So unlike, with Perkins Eastman, where we have their amount, and under that is all the other amounts that are included in their main amount, we've got 3 different people we've been dealing with and getting plans together for this project. So at the Board of Selectmen meeting in August, on August 17th, the Board of Selectmen approved amount, like seed money of $20,000 to work on the plans for this project. And they said that they would then send that to the Board of Finance for approval, which hasn't been done yet. But in the conversation with Matt in this afternoon, we realized that since it's supposed to come from that grant money, the ARPA funds grant money, I don't think it needs to be approved. Or Matt said that he didn't think it needed to be approved by the Board of Finance, so we could just go forward with it. Question though is if we need more, because we have to have the MEP guy do his thing and the structural guy, because the structural guy, since the Board of Selectmen specifically said they wanted to make sure that the window wall in the gym hallway, entry hallway to the gym, all those windows get replaced too and are made more energy efficient, et cetera, there's some structure there that may need to be figured out by the structural engineer. So there's going to be an additional cost there. So as John had mentioned at one point, do we make it kind of a big package of complete the plans and do the project, almost like a partly design build project, and put it out that way with an RFP? Or do we put it out there to get the plans done? Rich, got an idea?
Well, my understanding, all those plans were done except that window wall.
So the plans were done, and what we asked, yes,
Didn't that-
the plans were done several years ago for that whole area, except for the GP room lobby, which we added in. Those plans were done.
Yeah.
So now they have to look at everything and bring it up to date, make sure it's up to current code, et cetera, which is why I don't understand the MEP guy's proposal for like $25,000-$30,000. So we haven't talked to that person yet. You know, John and Roy haven't had the chance to talk to him yet. So that would be my suggestion,
Yeah.
so that we know what we're getting ourselves into before we go any further, is that that Roy and John, since you're,
I think at this time, this project, the way it looks right now, is a perfect opportunity for a design build. You can still take the plans we have and say, this is what we want. These are our plans. They will still develop their own updated plans. You can show them what we want. You don't have, they're not going to use our plans. You can show them. But I mean, you start looking at other engineering to come in, you're talking 20 here, 30 there, 40 here. We're not going to be able to get that money. You're going to have to include this in one package.
Is this going to be, are we going to get bit in the ass though, again, with, you know, being in such an old structure and issues being hidden that we don't know that?
That's why you go with a design build. And
Well,
then
that's,
they come in and they do everything. They
Right.
own it. If they
But
miss
that's-
it, there's their problem. They got to fix it.
no, I understand that. I just want to make sure that we're going to cover everybody else's ass on this, because I've been a part of where you come into design build, it's like, you know, $30,000 popped up here, 20 here. Oh, that's not ours because we, you know, didn't foresee this, didn't foresee that. I just want to make sure that we're going to, if we do something like a design build, we really cover our butts.
but we did have, like I said, a set of complete plans except for the window wall, which included structural, MEP, and finishing the whole, you know, demolition, abatement's already been done, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So do we own those plans is what
We paid for them,
we did pay for them,
so we own them.
all right? And if we ask, so what I need,
We're not,
what we need,
that plan won't be used as the final plan for a drawing. It will
Right.
just be reviewed by a design build engineering firm to look at it, and they build their plans off of that.
right, but what was
Yeah,
your
but then-
understanding in your conversations with Peter Eckert? Is he continuing to work on plans? Do we owe him money?
Well, he hasn't done anything because it hasn't been approved.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard of anything.
Okay,
I mean, it's up to the committee, but the way this looks now, you're gonna have to get an MEP engineer and everything else. And boy, it's gonna be hard pressed going back to this Board of Finance for anything. at
but
this
it doesn't
point.
go to the Board of Finance. If it's coming out of the ARPA funds, it goes to the Board of Selectmen. And the funds are approved. And
Up to how much though?
I
Millions.
asked, I said, so if the 20,000 isn't enough to complete the plans, that Matt said you'd have to come back to us and ask for more money. So I don't know whether it's worth having a conversation with this Joe fellow MEP guy or not.
Does he work for us or is he working for Eckert?
So he's somebody that was referred to us by Eckert. We would hire him separately. With the last set of plans that we completed, we had billing for Eckert, billing for Archer, the structural engineer, and billing for Dimitri, the MEP engineer. So all three were billed separately, unlike, let's say, the police station or the school projects, you know, with Chukunski Humes, all the consultants were under his whole total amount. With Perkins Eastman, whole total amount included DTC and everybody else.
All right, I think we need to find out, why is he saying that we need a complete review? Is it because of code updates or whatever?
Yeah, that's what he said, Rich. Because
Code
of code
updates.
updating, because
I mean, but he has all the information. All he's got to do is look at it, and $20,000 to look at something for code updates.
right, but he has to have an engineer stamp it.
I understand that, John, but he's the one who has done all the work previously. He has all the information. He had, he could just run it through his computer, and I'm sure that would be it.
Because that was my question. That was my question to Peter Eckert was, does the $20,000 cover everything? Was that a guesstimate for structure, MEP, and whatever he had to do, make sure all the toilets were still spec'd right or whatever?
I understand it was just what he had to do.
Well,
Yes, because he
when
said,
I made the motion for the $20,000 from the Board of Selectmen, I wasn't under the understanding that we needed to MEP the whole project.
And we didn't either at the time.
Only the window wall update.
correct. So that was the main thing that Peter put out there when I asked the question about, I'll try to find the email. So it was partly structural because of that window wall. And it just sounded to me, so I basically asked the ballpark, was the ballpark guesstimate complete? Did it include MEP, et cetera? And he said the guesstimate was before we were asked to design and specify a new curtain wall system for the south hallway connecting the gym to the general purpose room, meaning the window wall. It is also now our current understanding that we will be issuing the drawings broken down into two projects. One, the halls and bathrooms just west of the gym, and hall and bathroom associated with the GP room. This will require revising the drawings accordingly. For now, we would guesstimate around 20 to 30,000 for this work. We'll work hourly, and if the costs come in lower, that is what we will bill you. And then I asked about the cost that Joe Mastroluca, who's the MEP guy, are they included in the guesstimate that Peter gave us? And he said those would be additional costs to review the entire MEP package that Dimitri had put together. And then would there be I asked if there would be additional costs associated with Archer, the structural engineer, and he said, yes, there would be additional costs. They would also need to review the package and update the structure as required to meet current codes, et cetera. So my suggestion now, after looking at that, is we maybe have, like Roy had suggested, and hopefully when he gets back, he can put something together for us, a phone call, perhaps with Peter, and maybe even include this Joe fellow to find out, like, what are we really looking at? And I know we were looking at doing them as two separate projects. If it's more cost saving to do them all at once, as far as the plans go, and also construction, we might need to look at doing that.
Yeah. Okay.
So John, can you and Roy set up some kind of meeting? And
Yeah, I think he'll be back by the weekend, so I'll get a hold of him.
okay,
And
that would
maybe,
be appreciated.
yeah, maybe we can set something up, hopefully maybe next week.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Before our next meeting.
Yeah, oh
Okay.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of unanswered questions.
Yep.
Nancy, as soon as you find out, if you need more money, come back to the Board of Selectmen and we'll approve it.
Well, that's what Rich or Matt said, that we would have to come to the Board of Selectmen with some figures, and then they would work on it. So, or you would work on it.
All right.
But I think what I want to do is have some closer, I don't want to say we need somewhere between 50 and
Yeah.
$200,000. No, let's get something, definitely a little more specific, so we can not have to keep going back and we have another 5, can we have another 5?
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, good.
And hey, John, if there's anything I can help out with, I'd gladly do it.
Yeah, I'll let you know. When you get a meeting date and time, I'll set up. I'll let you guys know if anybody's available, As long as we don't have a quorum, we'll be good.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. All right, great. So I have on my little list here, dealing with I have to do some emails for the school CO. An email downs about the gutters and another water test. And John and Roy are taking care of setting something up about the municipal center renovations. Good.
I'll look back at my emails because I know with Lettieri, I had some emails about the air conditioning and stuff, so I'll have to look that up.
For the firing range, you mean?
The firing range, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know, maybe if even getting back to that firing range, not to beat a dead horse. Maybe if somebody could sit down with Libertini. I don't know if anybody has a relationship with him, but hey, and I'm sure he kept a file and actually talked to him and what action target proposed.
Right. Well, I guess I think it seems to me like Pugner's getting a lot of pressure from the police commission and others, get it done, get it done, get it done. So then he calls me and says, get it done, get it done, get it done. I'm like, but there's a process we have to go through. We can't just jump out there and.
There's no money proposed for yet either.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to figure that out. So it sounds like I said when I spoke with Matt Knickerbocker earlier today, that they have a kind of step-by-step process they're starting to go through. Not only was the police commission going to kind of make a formal request of, can we get this going? Pugner is supposed to be getting the specs together according to Matt. And I'm like, what specs? And does he really know that he has them? So yeah, I think they need to come from Libertini. And we also have to see what we have as actual plans. What's out there? Who's got a set of electronic plans? I know Chris Baldwin does. I may have to look and see if I have them somewhere too. And what was, in those specific plans, because I remember, as I've said before, having discussions with Laura Basile about what we needed for air exchange, et cetera, in the firing range, because I don't know if she's ever done anything like that. And so she was pulling specs together from some military something, and it was kind of overkill. So there must have been something that was being looked at. I just would have to look and see if I can find it, because I don't remember exactly. Okay.
You're right about that, Nancy. She had questioned the air filtration system, and she was talking about something much more stringent than what was required or something. But
yep,
she was looking at a Navy specification.
Mhm.
Yep. Well, because where else are there firing ranges in town? So what would she have to work with? So I think she went to thinking, all right, firing ranges, they have them on military bases. Let's see what they do.
Yeah.
Which is understandable, but again, I think overkill.
Yeah.
All righty, so everybody's got their assignments. John.
I make a motion to adjourn. I like to put a smile on people's face.
Why, we love you, John.
Dave Olson seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank
Night
you.
all.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
Have a great
Good
week.
night, everyone.
Good night.
Kathy.